You ain't gonna let that happen, so we gotta figure out something. You know what I mean? Let's just take this time, talk about what it is that you think need to be done, and
Talking? There ain't no talking. What's to talk about, baby?
it's action then.
Thank you. Action and then we move. Let's move out.
Let me talk to you real quick outside.
Word?
Let me talk to you.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
we gonna handle that. We gonna figure that out right now.
All right.
But let's talk about that real quick.
Watch out there, two of them niggas is out there looking.
You know, that's what they always do. Always watching the nigga. Always.
You got them?
Yes.
Let's get recognition on everybody.
Roger that. Shit. We ain't got no choice. What we gonna do? Keep letting them abuse our women? We gotta take power. We gotta take stand.
POP, man. That's what we doing. Protect our
Ain't no
people.
question.
So how are we gonna do it? We gotta put it together. We can't just be sitting there, you know what I mean, talking. Everybody been talking and demonstrating. We ain't demonstrating.
Yes, sir. We got confirmation. Facial recognition is locking in. We're getting facial recognition on everyone.
You know I've been on the phone with the brothers.
Right.
You know, so we gonna organize. We gonna structure, and we gonna go down there proper. You know,
No doubt.
no bullshit.
No doubt.
You can't have that
Shit.
For as long as my memory suffice, I've been engaged in fights of life, now addicted to the strife and spring. And I love it though like it's havoc and singing, ringing drums in my skull, plugging that hole, draining my soul, reuniting self with a universal control, bare but physical structure, ready to rupture, atomic flutter whenever I touch her, with each and every word I utter, disengage and muster strength from a holy ancestral cluster. I'm taking the place of physical pain conduct, and I ain't never been a sucker. I already lost the knuckle in inducing these punk bitches to buckle before me and my struggle became so internal. I stepped from my mama's paternal circle, facing takes and keeping it true type trouble. My great escape, walk with my great escape, swing with her. Great escape, walk with my great escape, swing with her. My great escape, the great escape, walk with her. Swing with her. Try to keep my grammar simple, but lyrical complex. Steady on quest for next, bring the vortex. Eccentricity got personality check. Do what I feel, I'm giving self-respect. Really true, prove facts I protect. Intellect, clearing distortion, fucking up your set. Come on, let every ear get pierced by fear, so savior. In all my these eyes I flip favor. My flavor, savor love for melanin major. You doing me wrong, that's like breaking the laws of nature. I'm creator's cure for sickness, disrupting karmatic tour, and I've been universal way before. Slip from my mama bird door to this all front of war. Need I say more? Must, cause entertainment just one of the 9 whore. I clean the dirt, we adore what the pimp ignore. That's expression, that's the beauty. Now extension is the duty to the last A. Who can't wait for my hot? Now so the yacht to create the great escape. Great escape. Walk with her. Swing with her. Walk with her. Swing with her. Walk with her. Swing with her. Liver, lover, fighter. Walk with her. Swing with her. I walk with a panther and swing with gorillas. I'm a liver, lover, fighter, healer. Walk out of the trances and sting when you feel us. We them holy hitters under the cover rewriting realness. Fool's hand. Great escape, great escape, great escape.
Peace and infinite blessings, family. This is Brother Farugh Ma'at of BMa'at Incorporated. Welcome to BMa'at Incorporated, where we share strategies and life lessons to empower, strengthen, and maintain the family nucleus, from Pan-African perspective, which is the foundation of all nation building. So we can't be nation building if we're not keeping our families intact. Agree? Agree? Today's date is March 7th, 2022. Show number 5. And that show is dedicated into women. This is the Women's History Empowerment Month. Of course, we're going to focus and highlight the African goddess that's going on, that's doing wonderful things in our community. And so I want to thank Simply Enough for connecting us to. Um, so yeah, let me get into and yeah, thank you for joining us in this global movement towards self-discovery and empowerment. The only way to get to true liberation and freedom. I say, yo. Our divine guest, Sister Waseret. She's a growth mindset coach for Black women and women of color. Her divine purpose is to restore the minds of the people. She has a background in psychology, neuroscience, and creative writing. She founded Wiyata Life Coaching and Apothecary. All right, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Apothecary.
Yeah, apothecary.
Thank you. Apothecary is a life coaching service that brings a holistic perspective to clients she serves. I already feel smarter. Like I never heard that word before until I read your bio, and I was just like, wow, let me look this up and find out what this means. And so you also deal with the herbal aspect of it, of the healing.
Too. Very, yes.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So, um, how are you how are you today?
I'm doing actually pretty good. Had a long day of
Good.
work, and now I'm kind of transitioning into more of my free time or self-care time. So I'm super excited to be here. This is and I'm truly honored to be on your platform and to kind of just share my knowledge and wisdom and my experiences with the audience and everything. So I don't know, I guess I'm on cloud nine if I was to sum it all up.
Yeah, because I put the call out on all my social media platforms, and nobody responded. And I was just like, wow, what's going on? Like,
Hmm.
I want to highlight sisters, the things that they're doing, the businesses, things like, and nobody responded. So I was like, damn, am I really that popular? I had to like question myself. Am I really that popular? Almost 3,000 followers and friends, and I'm like, nobody, Black businesses don't respond. So me and something Neffa was collabing on a project,
Mhm.
and I was like, something Neffa, like I have got no response. Like, and I was like, well, would you would you do it? And she was like, yeah, I know a couple sisters that would do it. And you was one of the first ones she recommended. So, and then I seen the work that you're doing. While doing the research, I seen the work that you was doing. Then we talked on several occasions, and I was just
Mhm.
like, wow, this is impactful. This is the true healing that when I when I when that vision of Be My came through me, it was about having a platform to where we can really heal. We can really um, deal with issues, because if we could talk about economic empowerment, we could talk about nation building, we could talk about all these grandiose things that we talk about. But if we're not managing ourselves, which transition to the household, then transition into the community, then transition to the nation, then transition to the people, then transition to liberating Africa,
Mhm.
then what are we doing? And so let's get to it. Your name. Let's get into the fullness. Your full name in its meaning.
Yes. So my Kemetic name is Userat Wiyata Djeba, which means she who is strong in the boat of Ra, who comes to restore. I added the minds of the people because it also translates with really well with my personal name, which is Tatiana Monique, which
Mhm.
is the fairy queen advisor for all saints who baptize. So it's so weird because my journey like I've always loved both my names, but when I received my Kemetic name and went through those trials and tribulations, it also gave me a charge of what I want to do. Like I've always been the person or the friend people come to for advice, for next steps, actual steps, and then on top of that, I'm also a Taurus, so um,
Mm.
I'm usually really grounded in the advice I give to others. And in the journey of receiving my name and the hardships I went through to get to this point, I realized I understood what it meant with my name, because my name is always going to be ever changing. But for right now, the mission is something that kind of was an inward thing before it became an outward thing, because before I got my name, I didn't have the best mental state, and I was struggling with a lot of things. And um, I've always had a natural and innate curiosity for the mind, for the body, and all three interconnections of our human spirit, essentially. And then once I finally received my name, it felt like everything kind of came together, and it was like, okay, that's pretty dope. So overall, that's basically my name.
So, did you have to go through some form of initiation to get your name?
Yes. So I was
Well,
initiated through the Temple of Anu, which is in Newark, New
wow.
Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah. I went through, I guess I could say, like a year and a half of first eye training, which is basically kind of understanding the culture of being Kemetic, which, if anybody doesn't know, Kemetic is like the African tongue for Egyptian. You know, Egypt is kind of more of a colonizer name compared to our African tongue of Kemet. Um, and in that course, it kind of like taught me the etiquettes. It helped me with my morality, give me a firm structure. It taught me discipline, compassionate detachment, everything I needed to learn while I was kind of going through my own personal healing with therapy, going through trauma group, also kind of being independent for myself, and then trying to just navigate the world being, I guess at the time I was 19.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it gave me a lot of like grounding. And then after first eye, I took the next step, which is Kamut training for women. They would separate my clan or potential clan into two spots, which is for the men. They'll go for the Kamut, their training, and then the Kamut for women, where we went into womanhood, understood the mental state of womanhood, had a lot of discussions. What's the difference between an African woman and like a European or other type of woman? And then when we came together, I always like to describe it as medical school, because
Mm.
when my when my class for first I came in, there was like, I would say a good 12, 15 people. But then when I graduated or got initiated, there was only 5 people left.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really intense. It was a lot of studying, and it was a lot of reflection that went into, and that's why I cherish my name as if it was
Mm.
my own flesh.
Yeah, that's a lot of work put into that, and it's necessary because
Hmm.
it's not a game. A lot of times people change their name, it was just significant. But when you go through initiation, when you go through the training, deprogramming, reprogramming,
Hmm.
it takes on a whole different light. And it really puts things into perspective. So I salute you in that. I'm right now in the shrine of Ma'at myself, and I just started
Hey,
my initiation. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to the process. And it already corrected me on some things, because even my logo, I'm revising my logo now, because that was my idea. But now when you think about the right hierarchy and things like that, when you get the right knowledge, it's like, all right, you got to evolve. And so even though that's copywritten and everything else, I gotta now revise it so it could be true to nature,
true.
and maintain its integrity. So already, I only been in it 2 weeks, and it's like it's
Hey,
changing. Yeah, it's just like changing things already. So
true.
yeah,
Usually in the
it's
beginning, it's like, okay, what am I getting myself into?
yeah,
Okay, this is so new. It's a brand new world. Let me
yeah.
just absorb. But I wish you the luck with your initiation. It's I I wouldn't change my initiation for the world, and
Hmm.
each initiation is unique to everybody.
Hmm. Exactly. And I'm in it. I'm going through with it. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So if you are already answered the second question. Second question was the what African system is your practice based on,
Mhm.
and why do you feel like it's necessary for true healing?
So I kind of want to step back. So even though I do identify as a Kemet, I like to say I'm Afro spiritual, because I also incorporate other types of spiritual systems, but I always put Africa first since that is, the closest
Right.
thing to what resonates to me. And of course, I sometimes dabble in a little bit of Buddhist philosophy, but I always find myself back into the Kemetic, and also more of my family's kind of like spiritual system. I dabble in that as well, which is like more voodoo, since I'm Haitian descent, but I don't tap too much, but I take what I need from
Right.
each, because I feel like in spirituality, especially African spirituality, since African spiritualities, I would argue, is one of the first spiritual systems. Um, it's kind of like you're learning the same lesson, but in different perspectives. So that's why I brought in myself. But if anybody really asks me without going into details, I'll be like, yeah, I'm Kemetic.
Nice, nice. But I like that term Afro spirituality too. That covers the gamut.
Hmm.
Where you don't have to get, because I believe that the way of life is multifaceted. So it's like, yeah, it's like this might be the foundation. Like for me, I into have like the whole trifecta of
Hmm.
religious standard, like structure, like a foundation. And so like my aunt is now one of them, Yoruba is another one, and
Hmm.
then Rasta is also part of it. So I merged the three because that's the sum of who I am. Even though I practice many other um, uh, lifestyles and religions per se, but these are the ones that I've found to be that speaks most to who I am and
Yeah.
who I'm becoming and what I'm striving to become. So yeah, I pick and choose whatever. It's like a handyman. You gotta have multiple tools to be the most efficient tool tradesperson. So
I
yeah,
agree.
so I really agree with that premise. I like that Afro spiritual. I like that. So let's backtrack. Yeah, let's backtrack a little bit. So
Yeah.
who are you outside of this work?
Who am I outside this work? I guess. What do you mean by the question? I guess I have a
Like,
lot of things.
yeah, so for me, like even when I do like workshops and facilitate workshops and things like that, I always um, suggest that before they get into um, my accolades or whatever things that I do
Mhm.
as far as community work, but I always suggest that they say father,
Mhm.
family man first, and
Mhm.
then anything you want to put on after that, I'm cool with, but you have to, for me, for for you to really define who I am,
Mhm.
father and family man is first and foremost. That's the most title and I'm most proud of.
Mhm.
So like for you,
For
what would we
me,
be like? Yeah.
I would say, well, for me, I would say I'm a free spirit, a grounded free spirit. Um, sister, sister
Mhm.
for me. I'm the oldest sister. I have a little sister, and she's like a daughter to me. So I'm
Mm,
always proud of her and proud to be her big sister. Um, Artists, I love to write. I'm a blogger on my website, which is currently a little bit down at the moment, but it'll be back up next week.
okay.
I like to write blogs about spirituality, about mental health, and about actual steps about kind of like what I do, but in more writing format or
Mhm.
whatever I feel called by spirit to do. Um, I am a violinist as well. I've been playing since the fourth grade.
Ooh, okay.
Um, I love my violin. um, and yeah, I'm also a music person. Like, you will never ever catch me or in my room without my speakers blasting like Ray
Right.
Charles um or Gregory Potter. Love Gregory Potter. Or or any other type of kind of Afro soul or neo soul type of person.
Nice. So I guess by you being a violinist, like more, I love um, black violin. So like,
Mhm.
are you familiar with
Familiar
him?
with who?
Black violin?
No, but that does sound like a cool name. I'll definitely look
Yeah.
into it.
Okay. All right. So, uh, so how long you been like doing, um, like what sparked for you to pursue this passion of yours?
Yeah. So, like I said a little bit earlier, it kind of was a personal thing and it kind of expand. What really set me to this path was getting my name, but I kind of sat on it for months. Um, but it felt like life kept telling me like this is kind of where this is your calling. This is, but I just never had a name. Like I
Mm,
was always the person who gave advice, who helped people through a lot of depressions um, and I knew I was going to be something in like the psychology field. That's why I kind of specialized in neuroscience. I mean,
mhm,
neuropsychology. Um, but I didn't want to go through the traditional route because I felt like, yes, you could be a therapist and you can help people's problems, but I feel like there could be more that I could do. It doesn't have to be that boxed in traditional societal way of stepping through the problem. Like each person um, is their own unique spirit. So I'm like, you have to tender it in the way that will help them most, and not everything in the traditional psychology like method is gonna get the full effect of what a person needs. Like I
mhm,
remember personally, through my life, I've been through so many therapists that I felt like I was more of a lab rat compared to someone just
mm,
hearing my problems.
mhm,
And when I finally found that one therapist who actually treated me like a human being and not because of the color of my skin or the problems that I had or stereotyped me into the fatherless black daughter type agenda, um, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should take therapy into a second chance, but it still didn't feel like the right fit for me. And it wasn't until I finally understood and someone told me about life coaching. I'm like, life coaching, what's that? And then it kind of clicks for me because life coaching doesn't just um handle the why like therapists would do, like unpack your trauma, unpack your childhood. This is the reason why this and diagnose you, of course. But life coaching kind of handles more of the how and the why. We
mhm,
focus primarily on the how, like how can we get better? How can we improve your life? What are some ways that we can kind of move things around, highlight your responsibilities, but then also when you're ready, let's talk about the why. Why do you
mhm,
feel like this amount of stress is seeping into your schedule? Why do you feel so burned out all the time? What's causing the burnout, et cetera, depending on the client and their reasons. Um, and then once I started actually doing virtual tea sessions, doing beta, kind of beta like client sessions, I just fell deeper in love with it. Like
mhm,
to see a client smile and or to see that click and actually it's like, okay, now I understand why I'm so stressed. This is the
mhm,
cause of my stress, and then that we're able to tackle it.
mhm,
Um, it's I don't know, it's the best feeling in the world, and it
mhm.
makes me, it makes it humbles me a lot to say. Did they answer your question?
Yes, yes, it did. Yes, it did. All right. So I know you had a coming of age story. You were going to share
Mhm.
your coming of age story, and I'm start. Um, I had like homeless, housing insecurities myself, and for me, I never knew the name. I never had that term. Like I knew that I heard couch surfing. I heard um, different terms, but housing insecurity for me was the most accurate term. And I didn't learn that term until I started volunteering um, at a homeless shelter.
Mm,
And I was like, that's a great term. Um, and it's very real. Um, I had a stint when I was like, I had a year when I was doing really well financially, and I was treating a homeless person, um, to lunch once a month.
mm,
And some of my most impactful, life altering lessons came from that. Uh, I was looking at homelessness as um, feeling sorry for them.
Hmm.
Oh my God, like you're homeless. Like, how can I help? And maybe 2 out of the 12 was like uh, um, a situation where a person just fell hard on their luck.
Yeah.
The other 10 were by choice.
Hmm.
Right. Same response I had. Um, one
Can you
guy,
explain about the choice?
one guy explained to me. He said, "You feel sorry for me." He said, "I feel bad for you."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Okay." I'm open. I'm open-minded, and I was like, "Explain." He was like, he said, "You work. You go to work every day,
Hmm.
and you come home and you pay all these bills, right? And you pay to eat, and you're stressing, and you pay you robbing Peter to pay Paul, and all these things." And he said, "Is that the way Christ lived?
Hmm.
Is that the way Muhammad lived?" And I'm like, "Whoa." He said, "I live like Christ." He said,
Hmm.
I live off the charity of others." And it's a great life. Is it challenging sometimes? Yes. But ain't your life challenging sometimes? I was
True.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I said, I never looked at it from that perspective before. That was the most profound one. Uh, Another one, same thing. And I was like, man, and this guy, he was like, I treated one homeless person, and he walked up and was like, "Oh, you treating homeless people to lunch?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "But this is my quota for the month." I said, "But next month," he said, "If you're interested, we link up here at the gallery, and I treat you to lunch." I said, "But you're not homeless. Like you look better than me." Like he said, "Because I'm homeless, do I have to look like a bum?"
Hmm.
I was like, "Okay, point taken." You know what I mean? It's like so we have these ideas of what homeless and poverty look like, and it's just like we really need to sit down and hear their story. And so and it kind of made my next homeless experience
Hmm.
um a little bit more tolerable.
Hmm.
um I didn't expect to be going through that again, but I did. And the same tips that I got from them I was able to um put to use, washing up at the library, spending time at the library, going to, you know what I mean? So it's like these certain things you could do to maintain your humanity per se.
True.
And so with that, I just have a whole different um, outlook and a whole different appreciation for individuals who did it. And one guy, he was like he had a double masters. Like he had double. This dude was, I mean, brilliant. Still had his diplomas and everything with him,
Hmm.
his degrees and stuff with him. But he was like, "What does it serve?" He said, "I got all this education. I'm in debt like crazy. Blah blah blah." He said, "I just checked out."
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's a piece of paper. Like, yeah,
He
it will
said,
give you some credentials, but what is it going to feed you at that moment, or is
"Yeah,"
it
and
just
that
there?
was his thing. He was like, "I'm $200,000 in debt. Can't get a job in the field that I went to school for." He said, "I just checked out." And he said, "I just live a normal life." And you know, one day he ignores all the student loans and all that stuff. He's homeless, so he don't even get those anymore. But he has his degrees and things like that. And it's just like it just um made me appreciate the the blessing and simplicity.
True.
And so yeah, that's my spew. That was just I'm forever grateful for what I thought I was blessing others. Didn't know it was going to be a mutual exchange. And matter of fact, I didn't know that I was going to be getting the education that I was getting from these individuals. I started out not looking down, but feeling sorry for them. And by the end of that year, I was empowered by them. And so, yeah.
Do it for sharing. Thank you. I mean,
Mhm.
sorry. If I
That's
say
good.
do it, that it just means thank you a minute. That's it.
I got it. I learned that. I learned that this week.
Yeah. But yeah,
So
like
so I get it. So thank you for translating that to our audience because they might not know, but we know we here.
we know we here. But yeah, like the Nate the homelessness, like um it is something. It's something to really think about, to digest and marinate. And um like my relationship with being homeless is definitely something that had like a lot of thorns and bushes, but it also had its roses as well.
Mm,
um when I was first homeless, it was kind of through a very big situation where I ended up leaving my mom and my little sister behind, to kind of basically um, kind of save myself
mm,
from the situation that was happening with my mom. And unfortunately, I couldn't take my little sister with me. Um, and I ended up kind of bouncing from family member's house to family member's house by the age of 17. And I was still in a bunch of AP classes, honors classes. And it got to the point where I had to relocate to my grandmother's house, and I had to take two buses and a train to get to my school, which was
wow.
kind of a long distance away from my grandma's house. And at that point in my life, it was I wouldn't I'm not gonna lie, it was a very angry part of my life. And
Hmm.
it was a very, very low part of my life. But um, I guess something about me is that I'm always a person who kind of like sees the curiosity of things. Because even though I was going through that situation, I was curious to why do situations kind of go like that? Why do we think like that? Why am I thinking like that as well? Like, I don't know, maybe it's my Virgo moon side, but I always like to analyze, even when I was in that type of thing. But um, kind of not having a stable home and a place to really I didn't even have a bed till I went to college. So having a bed of my own, something where I could just kind of like ground myself, it wasn't a reality for me until a little bit later into the situation. But once I did kind of go to college, that was like my little stable home for a good minute. I was full time with the scholarship and everything, but I was still kind of still in between because, even though you're living in college, you still have to have a home address. And
Hmm. Yeah.
we were doing stuff. We were I still live with my grandmother, but it wasn't like a consistent type of thing. Um, and it really got me again. I really got homeless again when the pandemic hit again. And my
Mm,
grandmother, unfortunately, lost the house and everything. And I had to find another place to live. And I ended up relocating to like Pittsburgh and being with my uncles and still trying to handle my scholarship, because if I don't have a home address, they're going to think something's up. And
yeah.
at the time, my college is in New Jersey and I'm in Pennsylvania. So I could have lost my full ride and everything. And it was, I guess it was the headache every year of filling out the FAFSA, because it's like, okay, am I going to keep my scholarship this year because of my life situation? And then on top of that, it was always a constant headache when I was doing my schoolwork, when I was working my job, and then all that stuff. But I was glad I was able to balance it out with therapy, journaling, kind of trying to understand who I am. Because if I couldn't be consistent in my environment, I want to at least be consistent in me. Because
Mm,
one thing, and it's also one of the things I teach my clients, is to always know thyself. Like, one of the best books that I highly recommend anybody, even if This is the only thing that you get from this is to read Dr. Akbar's Know Thyself, because it is so essential to know yourself, because once you know yourself, you can control your reality. Not even control, but you can embrace your reality and
There you go.
always be in a state of abundance no matter where you are. Because when I was going through those types of homelessness, and it kept changing on me, and I'm a person that loves consistency because that's literally who I am. I need consistency, but I'm okay with going with the flow now, because I know that no matter what what happens in my life, no matter even if the sky can fall on me today, as long as I know myself, that's all that matters.
Mhm.
And of course, the last two was love myself and never compare myself, because even though I went through things that a person who's 22 would um, most likely never go through, or even at the age of 16, 17, when I went through that big, giant situation, um, that doesn't mean I'm less than anybody because of my story. My story is only here to help understand and learn for myself, and also help and teach others. And never to be ashamed of your story at all. Like, I'm not ashamed to say that I was homeless from 17 to 21. And even literally last year, the place that I'm living in right now was a manifestation of itself, because I was about to graduate college and become homeless again because college was the only thing that I could technically legally say I have at home. And once you kind of graduate, you can't stay at college.
Right.
So I ended up having to work 3 jobs and still be a full-time student, graduated with honors, and still was able to walk with my diploma. And I was able to save up as much money to not only get this place that I'm living in right now, but also had enough to pay for my initiation. That time in my life was actually really spirit led as well, because not only did I graduate physically, I also graduated spiritually, because literally right after I got my diploma, I got a text from my high priest telling me my name. And it felt like those moments where like everything came together. Like,
Yeah.
this was what this moment was for. This is why I went through what I went through, because now that I understand fully with both my government name and my spiritual name, now I understand what my personal legend is, who I am meant, or what I'm meant to contribute to not only my people, to myself, and to the people around me. Because I believe not in independence, as America would like to highlight, but interdependence, because that's an African mindset. We don't just do it for ourselves, we do it for ourselves and others.
That's it. Wow. Profound. 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 Wow. Because even like for me, that was like the same mindset. Even if I was when sleeping on the floor and things like that, I was always grateful because I didn't have to sleep outside. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, um, my thing is that it always could be worse.
yes.
It could always be worse. So I never actually had to sleep outside. I might have slept on the train and rode the train back and forth until it was time to go to my next destination. But I never really had to. I might have slept in the car, but I never actually had to sleep on the ground and in fear that somebody might take my life or beat me up or something like that. So I'm grateful uh, that I didn't have to experience that. And know thyself came later for me in my
Mm,
life, but very instrumental in the way I look at life now. Um, that was one of the books I learned to actually love myself.
yeah.
That was one of the books I learned to really appreciate being African. The majestic, um, just uh, just being African is a majestic standard. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And it's like it comes with responsibility. And with that book and others helped me to embrace that responsibility with pride. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
It was like in integrity. And so thank you for highlighting that. Know Thyself by Naeem Arpar. People, make sure you put that in your notes as a must read. That is definitely a
yes.
reference book that's on my bookshelf actually. Um, so now I know you were saying that what is the process of achieving a higher vibrational mindset?
So the process of achieving a vibrational mindset, it's different for depending on the person, but in essence, it's to be aligned with both your mind, your emotions, your body, and your spirit. Um, that's how to have a vibrational mindset. You can also contribute to other things depending on the four keys that I listed, like going plant-based or having a healthier diet or doing journaling, etc. But as long as you're tackling the four, the mind, the emotions, the body, and the spirit, and you're cleaning
Hmm.
it out, detoxing it out, and also kind of bringing in things, you know, you don't just sage and then, put the and then that's it. You sage and then you Palo Santo. That's kind of my
Hmm.
little motto.
Hmm.
But when you detox, you're taking out the negativities out of that aspect. So let's say that you have a um, lack of discipline. That kind of goes more into your mental state, and because of that lack of discipline, you have more of like either anger or stress issues. So that's already attacking both the mental and the emotional aspect of yourself. And highlighting Dr. Akbar, in the African person, these four things are the most essential things to an African person to make you whole in yourself or high vibrational, in layman's term. And I believe in more, you got to detox the negative out. You just got to go through the ugly, nasty phase of, either if it's crying, anger, just letting it all out, hitting the gym or anything like that. But then once you fully get that out, now you have to transition good stuff into it. So how are you going to replace the things that made you angry with something that will keep you more centered, more disciplined, etc. And then you can either tackle it through one aspect and then just work your way up if you're that type of person, or you can hit it all at once if that's what your level or your ability to handle or get to that high vibrational state. But I also like to emphasize it's not an end goal either. It's a journey.
Hmm.
We're not always going to be high vibrational. One day you can be super high and then you can be super low. But it's what you do when you're in your low or you're going transitioning into your low that makes the difference. That shows more of well, like I said, it makes the difference.
All right. Awesome. So is that the same? All right. So I know you has restoration of the mind. Is that basically the same thing, or is that a whole different process?
The restoration of the mind.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, basically the same process.
Okay. So I see the two different terms. So I was wondering if that's like the same thing, or is that like I guess two different terms for the same process.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. Like, I like to more tackle things holistically. So, like,
Hmm.
seeing everything from like the bigger picture, but also understanding the significance of the smaller picture too. So, restoring the mind. You can't you if your mind isn't restored first, then everything else will follow whatever your mind decides. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of coming back to the layman's philosophy term of, I think, therefore I am.
Hmm.
So if your mental state isn't good, then everything else will follow. But at the same time, if your mental state is great, everything else will follow that as well. That's one of the Hermetic um, principles of the mentalism, law of mentalism. Mind is all, and all is mind, or the law of attraction, for more of a
Hmm.
broader term. So whatever your mind thinketh, then it will attract.
That's so true. Like the
Mhm.
Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
those books is it's profound, and it's like you said, it's the same message. It's the same universal message, just like a different from a different perspective. I always
Mhm.
tell my children it's like we're all there. We witnessed a car accident, right? The same car accident. We all witnessed the same car accident, where we have four different stories. But
Mhm.
we was both was there. We saw the same thing, but yet we still have four different stories.
Too.
The car was mustard color, or it was yellow, or it was gold, or it was person got hit. on the bike, or the bike hit the car, and it's just not, I mean, it's just. But I appreciate the universal message at all. All right, so here's a question. This is something that I always um not struggle with,
Hmm.
but all right, say somebody was to come to you and was like, pain. The pain is real, right? So how do we tell the difference between the pain was God sent or the pain was devil sent? Like a lot of people curse the pain,
Hmm.
right? Everybody, like a lot of people say, I want to be used by God, right?
Yeah.
But they're on stage, they're receiving awards and things like that. But when they're going through the trying times, when they're going through the studying and homelessness and things like that, that's a tribute to the devil, or that a tribute to Satan. But then after they go through the fact, it's like after they go through the fact, then it's like, oh, that pain was that from God to grow me into the person I need to become to do the things that I'm doing now?
Hmm.
So like, when do we shift um at looking at the challenges as a blessing? I don't know if that's a good
I
question.
completely understand where you're coming from. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like what I said earlier with receiving my name, and how that moment of everything felt like this is what it leads up to. Like,
Mm,
of course, in the moment, we're only hyper focusing of what that situation is. We're
mhm,
not understanding like there's other things playing at work. For the
mhm,
religious folk, I'll be like, God is, this is just God's plan. Or
mhm,
for a more agnostic or a person who doesn't really have belief in the supernatural, is that's just how deterministic our world is. But when we start to title or label things as good or bad, that's when we still are narrowing the situation to a good thing or a bad thing.
mhm,
In all honesty, any situation doesn't have to be good or bad. Yes, it
mhm,
could be immoral and moral, but it doesn't have to be evil or good. There's
right.
such a thin line between good and evil. It's only until we connect the dots later when something good happens, I'll be like, oh, that evil thing that happened to me like 2 months ago, yeah, it's not that bad anymore because I
Mhm,
came here.
mhm,
And that's why I like to highlight the journey to my clients. Like, a journey is not a linear thing. So a bad situation that happened like three-fourths into the journey doesn't determine your journey stopping there, or that means that, oh shoot, now there's a blotch in my journey. No, it's just that's just something that happened to you, and how are you going to react to how that happened to you? So are you going to label it as an evil thing and then the world just cursing me, and I I had no say in it? Or are we going to look at the situation, unpack it, not label it just yet until we understand the whole understanding of that situation? Because not only is it taking the person out of the narrow mindset and bringing it into more broader and taking themselves out of the equation, but it's also taking the emotion out of the equation, because now
mhm,
you can
mhm,
literally look at it from more of an objective feeling. And when it's
mhm,
objective, you don't have more of a drive to damn it or curse it,
mhm,
or label it as evil. And that kind of goes into more discipline building and kind of goes into the emotional aspect that I was stating earlier with the four levels of our higher vibrational mind. Is that when we're starting to look at things objectively instead of putting our emotions first, or
mm,
I guess this is my favorite quote from the Hosea. Emotions make poor servants, but emotions make great servants, but poor
or
masters.
masters, yes,
So
yes,
once you take your emotions off that throne and put your logic and your brain onto that throne and looking at the situation more logically, then you'll be able to react differently or respond differently. Because
mhm,
reacting is just that quick. Okay, I'm mad, I'm pissed,
mhm,
I'm that.
mhm.
But responding is like, I took time to marinate, absorb it, and understand it, and now I'm going to behave this way. I hope that
So
answered your question.
yes, 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 because when you say that, it took me back to one of Bruce Lee quotes. His
Mhm.
quotes
I love
was,
to agree.
"Discipline your emotions, or your enemy will use them against you."
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. It's like, and I'm just getting here. Not saying that I'm like, you know, I always do it this way, but I look at every situation, every occurrence, as a blessing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how crazy, how insane, or how um, demonstrous, or whatever the term you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the most destructive thing that ever happened to a person, and I would look at it. Everything is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's even blessings or lessons, right? So
Exactly.
it's lesson that can become a blessing if you learn from the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's my mindset with everything. So I like that um, thought process, because that's my thought process. My thought process is like, no matter how crazy this is, there's a gift in here, there's a present in here somewhere, and I'm gonna stay still
Mm-hmm.
until I find it,
True.
or when it reveal itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you label something, that's a wrap.
Exactly.
Once your perspective labels something that's like that, and so your mind, your body responds to whatever that command is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why this always happens to me? Oh, okay. Universe is like, all right, here's some more of that. Or, you know, this is some BS. Okay, you want some more BS? Oh, here's some more BS. Just to confirm everything that you're saying, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
reinforce it with some reality that supports whatever it is that you're saying. So self-talk is the most important, powerful thing that we can manage,
True.
that we have to change. And so, oh yeah, because I'm thinking like even Emoto, when he, changing the energy of water,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely the message in the water is like one and another book that I absolutely adore, because it's like our bodies are 70 to 80% water.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're programming water through labels on a glass bottle, sitting into the sun to where it oxygenates and you can see the bubbles inside of it. So if we're doing these kind of things, we can have that same kind of effect on our body.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to um, say them kind of positive words to kind of to invoke that positive energy, that positive feeling, that oxytocin
Yes.
things. We have to speak love to ourselves, even if nobody else will do it for us. And that's been my saving grace um, in this journey that I'm on now, because I'm not looking for validation from anybody else. I'll
Mm-hmm.
validate myself, and that comes from knowledge of self. That comes from, you know,
Loving yourself.
loving yourself, self acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Not about being perfect, and that's why I love the concept of my art, because it's not shooting for perfection. It's about balance.
True.
You can have a full human experience without feeling like you're born into sin,
Mm-hmm.
not feeling like you're gonna be damned to hell because you want to eat a pork chop or something. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not suggesting that you do so. That's not my suggestion. But it's like you're not damned to hell if you do so.
True.
You just know that if you have that pork chop, then you know what you need to do to get that out your system. Enjoy the pork chop now.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it. Relish in it. Oh my God, that tastes so good. Oh my God, that was great. Blah blah blah. Then you know what to do to balance that. You
Yeah.
get that out your system and stuff like that. And so that's one of the things I really appreciate, um, becoming more, um, being more aware of the comedic lifestyle,
True.
because you can
Like,
have the full body, you can have full human experience without feeling damned, or feeling that destructive, um, that guilt. That guilt
mm-hmm.
is that fear. That guilt and fear is so profound.
Mm-hmm.
We think about it as just a feeling, but create that fear. Well, it attacks one of the organs. I think it's the kidneys.
Yes. Kidney. Yeah, the kidneys.
Yeah, so that fear, it attacks your kidneys, And that's why all the dialysis and stuff are running rampant, because everybody's fear
Mhm.
of the news. Fear if you don't do right, you're going to hell. Fear if you break the law, you're going to jail. Fear, I mean, so it's just this fear. And we wonder why the dialysis uh, um, technician is going through the roof. And we
Yeah.
thinking it's just poor diet. Poor diet plays a part in it. But the major part of it is the emotions that we're feeling and we're experiencing on a
True.
daily basis, multiple times a day. Um, I don't know if you know, if you heard the same thing, but they say that 83% of diseases is emotional.
Yes.
And
Um,
so when you think about it from that perspective,
mhm.
so your diet could be anything you want. Your diet could be, you could be the most vegan, holistic person on the planet. But if you're not living right as far as loving and serving, if you're not doing that energy, then you're not going to get the full impact.
Exactly.
Not going to get the most out of what you're consuming materially.
Yeah. To correlate that, it's a little bit weird to me, but I there's this, I like to look at my strange addictions, or people with strange like lifestyles, or I guess you could say abnormal, because what is really normal?
Right.
There was this guy, he eats nothing but straight. Oh, hi. She's so cute. um, so yeah, he eats
That's part of it,
nothing.
right?
um, he eats nothing but raw meat. Hi, oh, I love your hair. Yes.
She said she loves your hair. So, okay, thank you. All right.
She's so
I'm sorry for
cute.
it. Yeah. Family man. That's why
Yes,
you got to put that first. You got to put that first.
true. Um, what was I saying? Yes. So he was eating raw meat, and he's been doing that for 12, like a decade, kind of.
Mm,
I'm not sure about the number, but it was a very long time, and he's the healthiest he's ever been.
mm,
Um, would I recommend it to every single person to eat nothing but raw meat, like raw, like not even cook the meat or anything like that? No.
right.
I mean,
Right.
to each their own, I guess. If you want to explore that, then sure. But it also shows that there isn't a perfect diet. There's a recommended diet. There's the American diet, but
Mm,
it's literally what you choose. But it's literally the energy that you put into it. So
mm,
if you feel like emotionally or energetically that plants will save your life, and I have to be plant based, and I can't have meat no more, I'm cutting everything out, I'm just doing all that, and that's just the diet you want to go with, then by all means. But that doesn't mean that's the right way or the
right.
only way. It's just
Right.
one of the ways. It's whatever you put your energy into. If you believe that meat is a good contributor to your diet as well, then yeah, sure, go by all means, go ahead. Be careful, but also go ahead.
Right.
Um, but it also, there's also people who are breatharians. I love the
Mm-hmm.
breatharian lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
They only survive off their breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally Asar's principle. He's literally the nectar of stillness, of rejuvenation, and knowledge yourself. And if you control your breath, you can control your emotions. If you can control your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
you can control your mind, and then everything else follows.
Mm-hmm.
People dedicate their whole lives to just solely surviving or getting their energy from breath.
Mm-hmm.
And but that doesn't mean it's also the only and right way either.
Right.
Just one of the beautiful things about being human is that whatever you decide your personal journey is going to be, that's how it's going to be.
Right.
I always like to say that I'm the master of my reality. If
Mm-hmm.
I decide that this is going to be my reality, by all means, the universe and Netzer will be right behind me halfway through and will put this in my reality, because I have faith in not only myself, but also the universe, and also the actions that I take in place for it.
That's it. And that was like a huge lesson for me. I think maybe like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
This guy, this Asian guy, right? He's about like 70 years old,
Mhm.
drinking, smoking, everything else. And I was doing a workout demonstration. And so I was doing push-ups or whatever the case may be. He was like, I could beat you in push-ups. And I'm like, what? Man, if you don't get out of here, you like 70 years old, you smoking cigarettes as you talking to me right now, you drinking and all that. Man, don't get out of here. So I'm thinking it's going to be easy, right? This dude, when we got to 50, he was still hanging in there, right? 50 years old. This dude, 70 years old, smoking a cigarette as he was like challenging me to a contest. And I'm like, I'm not losing to this dude. Like, I'm doing a whole workout demonstration in front of all these people. I'm not losing to this dude, right? So I beat, but barely. I barely beat this guy. And one of my mentors, Dr. Wyatt at the time, he was like, you know what's better than eating healthy? He said, being happy.
Sure.
He said, being happy. And so that changed my whole perspective about what health is and how important it is to be happy. When you start thinking about the metaphysics, you start thinking about energy, you start thinking about all these things that happens before it becomes physical. Because everything we are experiencing happened in the metaverse before it happened here. You know, this is the output. It's like the computer programming, you know, before we even type, this program was already set. And so when the printer print up stuff, this is the printer is printing out stuff that we're programmed into it. And so that's the same concept I think about when we dealing with our reality. Our reality is based on whatever is going on inside of us.
Sure.
And even how we treat people, it's the same concept. So like, so I'm like, that's why I look at life as a back. Trying to take over my show. So this is why I say my life is a blissful experience, because it is now. I might not have control over everything, but I do have the control of how I perceive everything.
True.
And if I perceive everything as a blessing, then that's what it is, no matter what it looks like to everybody else. So there you go, that knowledge of self thing, the importance of the knowledge of self. And I wish that for everyone, because that's the real freedom. We could talk about the laws and changing the laws and things like that, but if you're really consistent in being self and really true with being self and have that self-love and that self-acceptance,
Yes.
life is really easy for me. And that's why, you know, the slogan is, I don't know if you can see that.
It's kind of blocked with the light.
Okay, let me see here. All right, let me see. Can you see it now?
Ma'at and
Hold on.
yes, I see it. Be Ma'at and become a master of life. Period.
Right? So like that's my slogan for the company. And I think that's we talked about the whole being the virtues and being the principles and being those declarations, because that's part of my initiation is that I have to do that the 42 in the morning, and then I have to do the 42 at night. Yep. And so it's like, I will not in the morning, and I have not before I go to bed. And it's so profound. It's like, I have not. You can't say it if you didn't do it.
True.
I mean, and so there's that accountability instant. You know, not waiting to go to heaven to see or see if I got, you know, see if I what laws I broke and things like that. You dealing with that every day. And so if you're doing that every day, you can't help but to become a better person.
Exactly. And yeah, when I was first starting off with First Eye and doing that, and even now, like I still laugh at myself when I do the 42 because I'm like, dang it, I kind of did lie when I told this person, like, yeah, or yeah, I kind of did, yeah, I didn't listen to that person, even though the law said I have to be open and all that.
Right.
Yeah, I did it. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
But it also teaches you to be disciplined throughout the day, because not only are you being disciplined in actually speaking it, but throughout the day you have to keep yourself accountable. Like, okay, should I is my choice going to be to lie to this person, or will I be in my eye and be truthful even if it's uncomfortable? And honestly, with that perspective change, I find myself telling the truth more and more and not worrying about lies, because it's like, it's so exhausting to lie to somebody, because it's like, why lie? And then you have to keep up the lie, and then you have to keep going with that lie. And then why don't we just be truthful? Why don't you just say what you believe is right at that moment? And if they feel uncomfortable, that's something that they're dealing with. And of course, be compassionate, because my aunt teaches us compassion, and try to resolve the situation. The 4 R's my temple loves to teach. I'm being a bad student right now because I don't remember all the R's, but it's basically like the last R is to resolve, but it's also to reflect and relate. So once you reflect on what you said, you relate to why that person may feel that way and why they are emotional about it, and you take a day to be in that emotion if you need that, and then resolve it. Because also Ma'at teaches us to come back to balance. So you don't want any open situations because one, you ended up lying, or you told an uncomfortable truth. Try to still resolve it and be in balance, because Ma'at doesn't teach us to be balanced with ourselves, but also be in balance with our relationships, with our responsibilities, and then also with our life. And that's what I love about the 42, is that throughout the day, I have to remind myself these are the rules I dedicated myself to, and then these will be the same things I will have to say before I lay my head in bed. It's the 42, and that keeps me disciplined, and that keeps me more centered, and that also keeps my heart light. Because one of the laws that I is my favorite is, I will not eat my heart. So will I allow myself to succumb to a situation, or and let me eat my own heart, or will I just be in my odd and do as much as I can to be in balance in that situation, and then and not eat my heart?
That's funny because I was going to ask you that too. Like I was going to ask you what's your favorite value, um, virtue, or and out of the 42, what is your favorite? So we already in alignment here. Like this is better than I could ever expect it, and had to thank Mother Father Energy um, for this process. Um, and allow me to be in this process, and allow me the space to have this platform, and um, our producer extraordinaire Born Allah, for creating this platform to where we can have these kind of conversations publicly, and hopefully if we could just inspire one person
Yes.
to love themselves more, then this was worth it. This is worth it.
True.
So what drives you? Like what drives you, like even if you're having a bad day, right? What keeps you going? What keeps you going in this mission?
I guess it would have to be, it just has to be spirit. I don't know if I could like define it into like one thing, but spirit, because um there's so many times in my life where I could have died. I could have given up. I could have just ended it all. But weirdly enough, and under any normal circumstances, spirit was there with me, guiding me. And it's still true to when I do have my depressive episodes, because like, we're not always, like I said, going to be in a high vibrational state, or we're going to be on cloud nine. There's going to be days when I wake up and I'm like, dang, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But I have to take space. I have to be okay. Take a breath. I know you don't feel like doing it right now, but it's okay. Just take your time, take it one step at a time. And then I just go on. I just tell myself I will be the best that I can be. And what I can't do, it's okay, because what I do is enough. So that's all I usually do. And if it gets too heavy and it's like, okay, I really just can't do it today, that's also okay. I just need to take space and handle that emotion. I believe, and this is also reiterating from the Husia and Harmonica, is that take a day for your emotions and then go onward. So if I feel like I want to be depressed and just sad and all that stuff, I hit my favorite sad playlist. I get in my bed and then I curl up to a good book, or I just read a manga, and then I just let myself, and then I let everybody know, hey, I need a day to myself. I can't do this. I need a mental health. Just check back in with me tomorrow and everything. And hopefully by then I'll be okay. Because it's one thing to know that you are sad or mad or in an emotion, but it's another thing to hold space for that emotion. Because once we hold space for it, it'll give us an opportunity to release it instead of having it in you, and then now it's attacking your organs, and now you have this. Now it's affecting you physically. Because one of my biggest beliefs is that the intangible will become tangible. So whatever that is intangible, that's in your mental space, that's clogging you up. So let's say, like I said, being sad. If being sad from grief is always in my head, always in my mind, and I just keep avoiding, and pushing it back, eventually that's going to get on my heart. And then now I have grief on my heart. Now my heart is heavy. And now I'm looking at everything more pessimistically. So now I'm out of that vibration of abundance. And now I'm just being more pessimistic. And then now that I have that, now my heart's in problem. And then down the line, I could have heart problems because I'm not taking care of myself. Compared to, okay, I'm sad that I'm just sad, and I'm going to hold space for that sadness. I'm going to do everything that I can to acknowledge that sadness, but also grow from that sadness, and then just take a day and just be with my own energy and then release it. I usually do my heart exercises. Like I put my hand on my heart, I visualize green, and I breathe it out. Any type of emotions or memories that's triggering me to being sad, I acknowledge it and I just breathe it out until I just don't feel sad no more. And then after that, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I'm great now. Like the sadness is gone. No, after that, I'm going to journal my feelings down. I'm going to acknowledge, why was I sad? Why were these memories coming up to me? And then on top of that, I just shut my journal, and then I just do anything that just gives me comfort, whether it be another anime or a show or anything. But as long as I acknowledged it, hold space for it, and then released it, it's not going to be in my mind anymore.
Right.
And I'm not saying that this is like that one thing. It took me a while to get to that type of process. Like there was days where I thought I released the sadness and it's still there. But every time it comes back lesser and lesser, because you're acknowledging it more and more, and you're giving yourself compassion every time you're acknowledging it. And then eventually it'll get better over time. But that's because you're putting the actions with it.
You're giving time you're acknowledging it. A lot of times we suppress it and just keep moving and ignore it, and then it becomes a heart attack. And then it becomes cancer. Then it becomes, you know what I mean? So it's like, I like the idea of just having like a mental health day to acknowledge it, whatever it is that you're feeling. Not that you have to do it right then and there. I think that would be best to handle it right there while it's fresh. But so, pain and grief don't come conveniently.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you do. If you like journal it, or that I'm going to really deal with this emotion on this day, you have that day to where you can really get into it. But journaling is something that I had to really embrace too, especially being a man. Those type of things are not men type things where we are supposed to suppress it and keep marching on and soldiering on. And we're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to be nurturers. that we're supposed to be the providers and protectors at all times, which is dramatic in itself because how can you express all this yang without still but none of the yin?
True.
Like
True.
that's toxic in itself. And so I had to really um, embrace the feminine and within. And when I did that, the whole world just opened up for me.
Mhm.
And that's been like the big conversation in I call it the bro code circle. And when we have these real conversations, um, where men are free to express everything. We
Mm.
create a safe space where they can talk about anything and everything without judgment. It's been a beautiful, liberating experience. Because some of the things that I expressed and some of the things brothers expressed, others have went through it or are going through it as well, and we have given um, voice to their pain, we given voice um, to the things that they're experiencing, to where they wasn't able to articulate it. But then
True.
hearing somebody else say, like, "Oh wow, damn, I was just going through that. What did you do?" And we share that, and it's like that. Like, oh man, I'm gonna handle that next time, And they take that back to their families,
Mhm.
and they work with their misses, and they work with their children, and they're more engaging. Um, so it's really dope when um, we are in a space to where we can really honor all aspects of ourselves.
Yes.
And it's really, 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 I can express how important it is to be able to have the courage to be in that space. Um, so I really just really thank you for accepting my invitation.
Yes.
Um,
And thank you for giving me this invitation. Like this is an honor to be on your show and to share my story, and hopefully at least one person would resonate with this and it will help them. I remember when I was in my lowest, and just hearing others' stories gave me the power to just
mm, mm,
see, okay, if they can do it, can I? And then when I was able to do it myself, it gives me an opportunity to just help others as well.
that's so dope. Um, so what book are you reading now?
The book I'm reading right now is The Goddess Black Woman by Akil. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Here, I have it right here. I'm literally next to my bookshelf. But yes, The Goddess Black Woman.
Mm,
Um, it's teaching me a lot, especially with the character and responsibility of being a Black woman. I do have an aunt who teaches me um, what it means to be a Black woman, but she learned through life experiences, and to hear a different perspective of what it means to be the mother of civilization, the ones everybody else look to but never give the credit. Um, it's definitely a different take and a different type of nourishment mentally, because it's like I never thought about it like that, etc.
nice. All right, so why people should choose you if they looking to um, get work, get the help that's needed, looking for some healing.
Mhm.
Why would they choose you? Why should they choose you?
So, I guess a good way to answer that is like I don't want them to just choose me because it's like out of convenience, but because if you're ready to just do the work and understand that this is a partnership, this isn't a I'm going to tell you all the answers you need to know, but more of the I'm going to help guide you to
Mm,
help you with your journey, and help and through our conversations just root up things that you just didn't think about it like this way or that way.
mm,
The goal of what I do is to help change the minds of people, to show them that there's a different way than the norm that they're used to. When you're being told that you're, let's say, a black sheep, black sheep, black sheep, black sheep, but you're really like a brown wool sheep, you're going to end up believing you're a black sheep because everybody else told you you're a black sheep and life told you you're a black sheep. But if you look in the mirror, you're brown. So I basically help people through there. And then on top of that, I look at the holistic. So like I said, with the 4 aspects of a person is the mental, the emotional, spiritual, physical. I kind of go through all that with a person. I start with their basic intake. We talk about the basic of basic things just to see how you are and all that stuff. And then we start going deeper and deeper per session we go into. And it's not for the light of heart. It's only if you're truly ready to acknowledge your personal journey, because how I acknowledge my personal journey, I ended up bearing more responsibility and I had to be more accountable for myself. And that's what I teach my clients to be, is to be self accountable. I'll be there with you as an accountability partner, but the work lies with you. I'm just here to guide you. And of course, I also help my clients with their physical aspects with like herbs. I'm an herbalist. So I do little teas and tinctures. I also do detox teas and ginger tonics and anything that we kind of root up from the basic intake. And we kind of correlate that with the physical. So how we're going to improve your diet. If you feel like your diet is weighing you down and it's like not the best you want it to be, or if you want to just start meal prepping so you can have more time for other things in your life. Yeah, we handle that physically. Emotionally, if you feel like you have so much stress in your life, we're going to point out the stressors. What is the stress? Is it the job that's stressing you, or is it something that's behind the job that's stressing you? And then, of course, mentally, how can we develop your mind? How can we broaden your mindset? So we can do affirmations. I always, if you do like my package services, I always recommend books. And of course, Dr. Akbar's book is number 1. We always go through Know Thyself, because I tell my clients the 3 rules is to know thyself, to love yourself, and to never compare yourself, because this journey will get hard. And you will have twists and turns, but you always have to be compassionate with yourself. And then spiritually, if my clients are leaning more towards the spiritual side, and I have a few clients that aren't spiritual, so we just handle it more mentally, but it's still the same aspect of spiritually. How can we help improve your spiritual discipline? What are some things we can tackle depending on your spiritual system? And what are some discussions we can have? And sometimes I do it with my clients when we're in our book discussions, or sometimes we just talk about it in our regular therapy sessions. You're muted.
Budget. What's the budget like?
So depending on the services, my one-on-one sessions are $80 per session. And then my package services, depending on the levels, it's $125 per session. So if we were to do hold on one sec. I have like the same. Yeah. So if we do I name my sessions like the manifestor package, the creator package, the designer, the cosmic, and the goddess package. So the manifestor is $500, and that's for 1 month worth of services. So of course you'll have access from me through email, and you'll have journal prompts, book recommends, etc. And everything else kind of goes from 3, 6, 9 in a year. And within a year, those are the more we're getting to the root of everything, and your life isn't going to be the same as you started as day one, because you're definitely going to learn more. And incorporate more. And of course, yeah, that's basically about it. Because I have so much at play into my my packages. Like I do everything from playlists, because I believe music is an avenue for mental change. Your physical. So I will be doing herbal checkups and assessments on you through the 1-year package. I have yearly reports for my clients. So I record our journey, and of course it's confidential. I will never disclose your information or release it unless it's with your permission only. And of course, and then of course the regular, you have 24/7 access to me through phone and email, etc. And then of course the journal prompts and also the book discussions.
So I'm gonna definitely um, get some services. Right now, like, so I'm going through initiation,
Okay.
so I'm going to focus on that. I don't want to spread myself too thin, but I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you. Could my initiation be up in June,
Okay.
June,
Hey,
July? Yeah. So
I
right
was
after
in
that,
June too.
yeah. So right after that, I'm doing another. I'm doing a Coma Man, a Coma King initiation, to where we're doing relationship building, relationship skills, building up relationship skills for Black men, to where we could be more accountable, um, be more engaging, be more present in our relationships, and get out that whole toxic masculinity cycle that we've been in for a period of time. So then after that, I will be definitely looking out to you to further evolve and enhance what it is that I'm doing. So I'm really looking forward to. So we come to the end of the show. As you can see, the children are coming in, and they look for my attention and things like that. And that is one of the first, like I said, one of the most things that's important to me, fatherhood and family. And so I don't want to take too much time from them, but this is something that's my joy. This is my joy.
Yeah.
This is my balance with work and family, things like that. This is my joy, to be able to create a think tank of true healing. And this is what we need. And so you are now part of that team. I welcome you.
Thank you. I'm honored.
And so I'm super excited. So last couple questions. What would you want your legacy to be? Will people think of you? What would you want your legacy to be?
Mm, I guess I never thought of that.
Mhm.
I guess when people think of me, I want them to believe that I was authentic to myself through and through. That I lived authentically, I breathed authentically, and every action I did was authentic to me.
Mm, I feel that. I feel that. Facts, facts. And it took me a long, like, I'm 48 now. And so it's like I'm just getting to that point. So to see you at this space at your age is a beautiful thing to witness. It just shows that the ones before us did a really good job.
True.
I know a lot of people had made transition without uh, um, fulfilling their purpose, and so they got to come back and do it over again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to be in a space to where I'm seeing individuals like yourself come into this space so early and manifesting it is a beautiful thing to witness. Any projects or upcoming works that you're doing that you want to, like, highlight?
So far, not really. I'm focusing more on kind of improving my business. So far, I want to be able to bring the apothecary side of my business out more. Like, I do herbal stuff for my clients, but I want to be able to be in the community. Like, definitely, I want to be a part of the Hurulu Festival that's in West Philly, and like display my products and also
What
teach.
festival?
Hmm?
What festival?
The Hurulu
Oh
Freedom
yeah,
Festival. Yeah.
yeah. We usually perform there. I'm
Oh,
part of a
you
collective band. Yeah, the Urban Shamans.
do?
We usually
Ooh,
perform there every year, so I will see you there in person.
yes, yes. Yes, likewise. Okay, I can't wait to see you in person. um, but yeah, like I want to put more of my herbs up front in the business. So right now I'm focusing more on the life coaching aspect, but I want to be able to blend all my talents into my business.
Nice, nice, nice. And that's a great space too. Like, never really been there because, like I said, we was always performing, but It's always like a family reunion. Every time I go there, it's just like, oh, hey, oh, Baba, oh. It's just like it's such a wonderful love fest. Um,
It is.
and the organizer are on point and so gracious. Um, I'm so excited to have these events come back. I miss them dearly. Um, so that's just great things are coming, and
True.
we're coming back um, more powerful. Yeah, I mean, just having I mean, so many black businesses was created through this whole pandemic. And yes, I
Hmm.
did say pandemic.
It is.
And so they didn't they didn't account for that.
Hmm.
They were just people who just is going to fall out and just become victims,
Hmm.
and people really flourish
True.
in this space. And so it was definitely a beautiful blessing. You know
True.
what I mean? Like it was a beautiful blessing. So where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram mainly at manifest.wiyata. So my middle name, Wiyata. And then, of course, you can find me at Wiyata Life Coaching. Sadly, it's a little bit down at the
Mm,
moment, but it will be up. My website will be up by next week.
okay.
But mainly, I do have a available link to if you ever want to just do a virtual tea, which is my free discovery call where we can just talk and we can get to know each other and see if our vibes match and continue our services. So that's mainly where you can find me.
Again, I want to thank Simply Nuffa for this link.
Yes.
She's really good with stuff like that. She will be on next week. We'll be talking with her um, about all the wonderful work she does. She definitely designed a lot of my attire. I also model, so it's like
Ooh.
I'm known. Yeah, I'm known as the cultural model, and so a lot of stuff. She actually got me started in the whole modeling thing. She was the first one to ask me to model for her, and I didn't think it was going to kick off the way it has kicked off in the
Mm.
last couple of years. And so I'm just doing shows all across the U.S. now,
Ooh.
based off stuff that um, she started. You know, she just saw the locks and was like, "Oh, I want you to model for me." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I did it and fell in love with it. Didn't know that it would take the life that it has taken,
Mm.
and but it's purposeful though, because I'm not modeling anything that's not representing us in the highest light.
Yeah.
And that's why purposefully I'm like, yo, the cultural model. I'm known as the cultural model, so don't come to me with skinny jeans. And it's cool. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing dresses. I'm not doing the platform shoes.
Mm.
I'm not doing none of that stuff. But anything cultural, anything that pulls us to our highest regal representation, I'm
Mm.
for. And so thank you, Simply Neffa, for that opportunity. And so any closing remarks?
Um, I feel like we talked a lot. Closing remarks wise, um, I guess the emphasis of know thyself.
Mhm.
Know thyself, love yourself, and never compare yourself. You are your own unique human and spirit. So that's literally, if that's anything you take from this interview, is to know yourself and know that the decisions you make is enough.
Mm. You are the sum of your decisions.
Period.
So, like, so if you want to point the finger at someone else about your reality, notice when you're pointing, there's three pointing back at you. So
Very
take
true.
accountability, be responsible for your decisions, and make better ones, and you'll have a better reality. So with that, Empress, I thank you so much for your time and you being gracious with your experience and knowledge and your expertise. Namaste. Um,
Doing it too.
there you go. I'm gonna get it. Next time we have a show, an interview, I will be on my comedic language.
Hey. Okay.
That's the goal. So family, thank you again for joining us. If you have show ideas or resources to assist on this mission, please email me at Farugh1973@yahoo.com. If you found value in this presentation, please give or continue to support, no matter the amount, and it's all tax deductible. So if you need the number, the tax number, I will graciously give it to you. Thank you for all your support. Thank all the supporters. We are solely funded by your generosity, solely. And so I have a clothing brand that's launching this summer, just to have more money towards these initiatives. We do programming. We support a lot of initiatives that Black businesses, initiatives that empower our people. And so the way we do that, we don't depend on government funding because they come with stipulations. And so we want to be 100% unapologetically African at all times. We don't want to sugarcoat anything. We don't want to do none of that stuff. So we're shooting to be a self-funding initiative. And so far, so good. We are here based off your generosity, and I thank you. So you can go to Cash App, $BMa'at Inc., and donate money towards there. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also support Do the Knowledge Radio. This is another platform that's about educating our people and providing solutions to our ills and to our problems. And so I don't know his Cash App, but I'm quite sure if you do just Do the Knowledge Radio on the website, I would have more. I'll be more versed in that next show. This is my 5th show, and I'm more of an introvert. I like being behind the scenes doing programming. So this is like my real first solo thing in front of the camera and totally producing and writing and all this stuff. So it's definitely better than the first show. And so so I would love if next time, dear producer, if you want to add your Cash App, your information in the ticker, I will welcome that, because without you, there's no us. So yeah, I love y'all. See y'all next week, and be good to yourself. And say what's the thing? Know yourself, love yourself, and don't compare yourself.
Yes.
So that's some wise words to leave off with. Love y'all. Be safe.
Sure.
Peace.
Oba Koso Olufira, Oba Hebioso, Arara, Oba Shango.
Baba Tahir, last name RBG. For the next 20 years, they gon' follow me. Way too humble at times, biters be banking on it. Now I'm thinking on it when I cut on the beat. And the verse starts spilling like a rooster at bar. I used to set off the cipher, now the hype is discreet. Praying I would give it up. Yeah, I'm hip to your wishes. Hatred's a sickness and I can detect it without speech, hater. More flavors and some now laters. Small country town invader, profound, powerful innovator. Stay on the road like a Winnebago racing at Talladega. I made your alley traders like a skater would. How I'm doing, I'ma say I'm good. Even if I wasn't, I'd never admit it. I'm seasoned and gifted and black. Every rap got apps getting you lifted. Classic flowetry, picturesque with it, so vivid, homie, you know it's me. Who else sound like liquid gold and killing shows, repping for the indigos? Priests, priestesses, and practitioners. Marathon finishers, jealous heart diminishes. You think I'm braggadocious with it cause you bogus. Get it only when it's given to you cause it ain't living through you.